So Travon Walker was pretty awesome, huh? And I don't want to hear any of this, oh, it's just preseason, blah, blah, blah. No, that is not what we do in the preseason. We overreact to everything. Travon Walker is literally the best player to ever play football. That's what we're doing. And this is coming from a guy who definitely was a Travon Walker hater in the draft, but he played well in this preseason game. Can't take that away from him. Watch what's going to happen, starting off with the first play we saw of him. So NBC, very nice to put the graphic up of where he is on the screen. You see what's happening. Going up one-on-one against Brandon Parker, who he went up against the entire game here. And watch how right when this play begins, one thing you notice about Walker is he didn't really do like a move at any of this, which is kind of one of my criticisms of him in college. And I said, will that work at the NFL level? Well, maybe. And again, it worked on Brandon Parker, who might not be known for being an elite offensive lineman, but he is someone who is still, a guy who's going to probably start for the Raiders. So that's definitely promising. And watch how Walker was really able to just overpower Parker, and he got to the quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, for a pressure there. Now, got flagged, which, this is kind of I think, again, who cares about the flag? I think most people would say you're getting pressure. That's what people want to see. You can always, basically personal fouls just happen. It's the NFL. He did kind of hit him up high, whatever, blah, blah, blah. To me, I think I'm impressed with the pressure itself more than anything, and just the power he had. The power was just too much for Parker. It really was. Like going over here, that's what happened on the sack, I thought, was really, again, it's power, where he's going up one-on-one against Parker, and watch what's going to happen here. So right when this play begins, you're going to notice that, again, doesn't do too much of a move, just kind of gets the hand placement he wants on the inside of, really getting on Parker's pec area, and really is just trying to overpower Parker, and it worked. He got right into, he collapsed the pocket to where at this point, Stidham, there's only so much he can do. Now, I would say, and this is, I think, still a benefit for Walker, is you probably shouldn't be trying Walker. You probably shouldn't be running in his direction like at all. That's just not a move I think that you should make. But at the same time, that's a pro for Walker, is the fact that I'm saying that. The fact that you are adding that benefit already when he's someone who I certainly felt like would be someone who's, I think has a lot of potential, but might take some time to develop. Well, maybe he won't. Watch as you see, basically Stidham ran right into Walker, which is not ideal, not what you want to see happen there from Stidham, but a very good play from Walker to put himself in that situation. Sure, there's an element of luck. Guess what? When you get a sack, usually something else is going to go your way. It's very rare for you to just straight up get a sack, and it's not because, someone was playing good coverage or someone else was also creating a pressure or the quarterback made a mistake. There's almost always one of those factors at play as well. It was a good play from Walker. Now, one thing I weirdly noticed was that I did see a couple of plays where, listen, we showed the good reps and the bad reps here. We're not just going to talk about the good reps, even though I've already crowned Travon Walker as the best player to ever play football. But there were some bad reps, weirdly, in the running game, which, the narrative about Walker was he's at the very least going to be able to, do good stuff in the running game. Well, in this game, I did see him get blocked out of the way a couple times. It wasn't horrible. As you see, it's going to be a tight end who's going to block Walker out of the way, which is, again, not ideal. It was a good block, but that's kind of the issue, is you don't want that to happen. You would ideally like your great run-stopping edge rusher to not get blocked that far out of a tight end. I am very much nitpicking. It is a preseason rep, but, if I have to say win or loss for each rep, for me, that rep goes in a loss. Something like this is another one, which I also should mention. Typically, when you're a defensive lineman, you lose more reps than you win. That's the life of a defensive lineman, is that typically the offensive lineman is going to win the rep. And watch how, as you see, again, I would consider this one a loss. You got some help from a receiver, but it's a tight end blocking you out of the way and doing what he wants to do with you, which is not a big deal. But again, we're talking about a small sample size of a preseason. These are the things that I saw on film. But then again, I saw this play as well, where I saw him dominate a run blocking rep on top of this, where what you see right here, he's going up one-on-one against a left tackle, and watch what happens. Watch him just, again, not only do a move, but just overpower Brandon Parker. So absolutely fantastic play, and something that I was definitely impressed with when I was watching him is the fact that he could consistently do stuff like that. Very good, and again, it was promising. So yeah, I think this is fun. I enjoy doing these videos. There's definitely a lot of overreactions, if you think I overreact, read the comment section. You'll find way more overreactions there. But I think it's a fair question to ask. Well, what should the reaction be then? What's the overreaction? Obviously, saying he's actually amazing and fantastic is an overreaction to a handful of reps. But I think it'd be unfair for him to say, well, this doesn't matter at all. Because kind of what I've always felt about with the preseason in general is it by itself to me means nothing. But I think you can use it to kind of paint the picture of a bigger sample size. And that bigger sample size is what you saw in college. So, he did not have a ton of success in college. He did not have a ton of statistical success, at the very least, in college. I think that is undeniably true. He did not win a lot, which is, again, that's just true. Even if you isolate, only his pass rush snaps, he did not win a ton. And while you could certainly sit here and say, well, he beat, Brandon Parker. Like, that's not super impressive. Well, it's more impressive than beating college tackles, and he didn't do that as much. So what happened there? Has he gotten better, or really is it just the situation itself allowed him to be better? I don't know. I think it's a very fascinating discussion, but here's what we do know. He played well, and he showed that just relying on his athleticism can get him pressure and can get him sacks. That's what we saw. How much will that happen? We don't know, because it was just Parker, who isn't the best tackle, and he's trying out at left tackle, so different position as well. All that stuff I think it's fair to say, but I think it's also fair to say that there's some upside here. So, and that's kind of how I've always viewed preseason in general. And if you watch more of these videos, you will see that's kind of how I view it. Is I start from a starting point and then move forward. So for me, my starting point with Walker is very good athlete who is unpolished. What I think I, learned today was, okay, still a very good athlete. This doesn't seem to be a ton more polished, but maybe that's not the end of the world. Maybe that will still allow him to work. He can still be a guy who you're not going to want to run the ball in his direction, which, there's value in that. I think that's not the end of that's not like just some small thing. That's something that's good, that a quarterback won't want to run the ball in your direction. I think that's very good. I think that we've shown that he can overpower bad tackles, which makes me believe maybe he can overpower even good tackles. It's possible. I guess we don't know that. That's the question. But at least he passed the first test of being able to overpower some lesser tackles. So those are the things that I feel like I've learned. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions and actually say that, okay, turns out the Jaguars made the right pick, because we can't say that yet. There's so much information. But, a lot of people sort of, I think, mocked the Jaguars for selecting based on athleticism. I might have been one of them. But, the fact of the matter is, athleticism still does matter. That stuff still is a good trait for you. So even if it's a little bit silly to draft solely based on athleticism, it matters, and it is definitely a benefit. So that's what I think about all this. What do you guys think? What were your thoughts on his performance now that we've seen some actual NFL tape of Travon Walker? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.